Good evening again. Welcome to our many viewers, listeners all over the world to our 183rd broadcast here tonight. It's a pleasure to be in company with you. We encourage you to join us here now, invite others, share our link, and let's make this conversation a great one. Tonight's conversation will center around the Association of Liberian Journalists here in the United States of America. Uh, the organization that put together past and present journalists, particularly past journalists, but present meaning some of us are still practicing, um, to bring about camaraderie, hold our government foot to the fire regarding press freedom, to help media practitioners in Liberia with training and so forth. And ALJA will be celebrating her another year of existence, and her convention is next week, from Thursday to Sunday. And we'll have the president here discussing with us. We already got a hint that the secretary general will not be in the house, and the vice president might be a little delayed in getting here tonight. But good thing we have the president, so we'll be going to him momentarily. But in the meantime, we want to encourage you to join us. Please invite others. We're here Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are a Liberian journalist or a journalist here in America, I'm not talking about social media journalists. I'm not talking about podcaster. I'm saying a journalist, okay? Learned journalist, practicing journalist. Come join us here tonight as we hear from the president of ALJA. But in the meantime, let me bring in my colleagues, Moses Sandy and Alphonso Yenu. Gentlemen, welcome. Alfonso, you're a little too far to your left. Okay, there you go. There you go. But gentlemen, welcome. We're back here again, 183rd broadcast. Our anniversary, 2-year anniversary, will be September 14, which is Thursday. It's around the corner. And so just to say that we've come away. We could have had maybe 200 broadcasts, but of course we've been having some moments where we don't broadcast because of certain events, uh, sometimes to do studio maintenance and all of that. But it's good, man. We're making progress, gentlemen. Thank you for being my colleagues. And let's continue to build this platform to noble heights. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Volcano. It's a pleasure to be back. Today is Friday. The weekend starts today. So, wherever you are, I want to wish you well. And I'd like to join Volcano in welcoming our many viewers out there. I know tonight we're going to have a lot of journalists logging on to see what AJA is all about, what the convention is going to be about, some of the key things that will be discussed. So come and be a part of this discussion as the leadership, unfold plans for next uh, weekend in the city of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Alfonso?
I'm muted. I was muted. Sorry. Thank you guys. As always, good to be here with you all because every time we meet here, of course, it's a very interesting conversation. So I'm happy to be here. I'm especially happy to discuss ALJA as a trained journalist myself and having worked in the journalism profession for a number of years. I'm happy to welcome my colleagues. Only thing is, I'm probably the only person on this show who doesn't have an ALJA t-shirt. I thought of it when I came from work, but I don't have time to put it on. Maybe intermission I will put on my ALJA t-shirt. But it's great to be here, and I look forward to a fascinating conversation with the ALJA leadership.
Thank you. Thank you. Listen, gentlemen, we don't want to waste time here. We'll go to Joe, but just before that, something caught my eye, something crossed my mind, and I thought to talk about it quickly. Um, we see that there are many functionaries created as a result of serving the people. In Liberia, today we have many institutions that are just a they are all replicated to say the least. Institutions that could be joined to make up one institution. It's the construct of the Guia government to make sure that all of his partisans got job, blow the functionaries, within government. And one of such institutions is the National Transit Authority or Transport Authority, put it that way. What I heard is that the Transport Authority, the only monies they got for sustenance is to pay salaries, but no monies were put forth for equipment, for resources. So when you hear something like that, what does it tell you? So you just pay people for free to go to work and just sit around and play choker and be on Facebook. Then it takes Joseph to bring his bosses. They take another private man to bring bosses. So then why have that institution if it's not functional? Who establishes any institution just to pay salary and the institution is not delivering? Your thought?
Very salient question, Volcano. As I listen to you, and sometimes we come here, we discuss these issues. For every time these issues, come about, that just further justify the reason why uh, the need for a change in government in Liberia. Uh, it beats my imagination, Volcano, that you will have a sitting senator, chairman on executive, engaged in brazen or broad day, you know, and acts that undermine the authority of an established institution of government that was set up to provide affordable transportation for pedestrians in Liberia. How do you have the transport authority, drivers working for the transport authority are now working for Mr. Sir Joseph, a lawmaker running transportation system that undercuts the reason for which the transport authority was established. The president, the Senate pro tem, and all the people in government, nobody says nothing. The government, in fact, awards contract. Take, for example, uh, the transport authority provided transportation services to the University of Liberia. And what did the government do? They allowed our contract to be taken over by Sir Joseph. While the transport authority, is crumbling. The authority have 47 buses. The number of buses have been reduced to what? 15. The Volcano said, people just go. They can't maintain the buses. Their drivers are now working for Sir Joseph. And this is the ruling government, the ruling party. Eh? Alphonso, Volcano, you tell me this. Is this not insanity?
Go ahead.
That's broadly like ineptitude. That's broadly like corruption. It's like basically taking an entire sector of government and giving it to a politician so that he can make his own money out of that sector and just abandon the sector. The other point I want to make, I want to really take it further, which is that these people don't seem to understand the importance of transportation in building an economy. Trans People invest billions of dollars in transportation because that's what drives the economy. That's what moves goods and services. If we had a good transportation system in the country, the market women who are sitting on Pempe or Keke or running around the place could be using that service to quickly bring their products to market. People from leeward counties, Lofa, Nemba, Bon could be bringing their products to market and they will be making a lot of money. That's how, again, people from Monrovia could also move their goods to places. People who render services can live in Kakata and say, hey, I can live in Kakata and go to work in Monrovia and come right back. they pay taxes, they're able to also develop their local places where they live. I experience it personally on a daily basis. I commute from here to New York to work. How do I make it? I don't drive. It would have been too expensive. I take the public transportation system, which is the train service. And the government of the United States of America just put billions of dollars into developing that train service that goes into New York on New York Penn Station because they understand millions of thousands of people move every day and they move millions of dollars of economy every day.
I think the whole idea here is not to turn this into a discussion. I just think that I wanted to throw light on it because
Hmm.
honestly, it doesn't make sense to have a government functionary that is not delivering and you're paying salaries. Then scrap it or merge it with something else. Maybe merge
Absolutely.
it with the Ministry of Transport,
Hmm.
or it cannot stand on its own because you cannot establish institutions only to pay salary and they're not delivering anything. I
But the
think I
what?
think
Let
I,
me.
I think that's pretty
That is terrible. But why is it not even delivering? I think
because
that's the
resources is
question we
not
should
being put
ask: is
into
delivery?
the
Yeah,
resources not being provided by government. But however,
absolutely.
since you people on payroll will just
Yeah.
pay them so the mouth can shut up, they go play Lulu and chuck all day. Nonsense. But
They're
gentlemen,
like fire
But
service.
and
I
Yeah.
but
think we should,
quickly, let me just say this on that. I beg you for kind of.
okay.
I think what is happening is deliberate.
Yes.
I mean, if you have the chairman on the executive undermining a government entity and nobody says nothing,
I mean, I wouldn't use the word undermining Moses.
undermining,
No,
this is undermining
no,
Volcano.
no,
How
Moses,
do you?
Moses.
So this is yeah.
Okay,
This is the point I'm trying to make here.
okay.
How do you work in government and at the same time you're competing with the very government?
Because
Isn't that double standard?
the government is irresponsible.
Yeah, but that's the point I'm making.
The government is irresponsible. But I think in good faith and playing devil's advocate, what Sir Joseph is doing by providing public transportation is where the government has failed to put a check and balance on, certain people or certain institutions and say, hey, this is our responsibility and we're going to do that. And
And
if
that
you
is
have to,
where
yeah,
that's what the
if
government
you
has
have,
failed to do.
that's what I'm saying. So if you have to do it, let's do it the other way. There are private institutions in Liberia. There are private business people. There are people who own 10 buses on the road. There are
Absolutely.
people who own 5 buses on the road. There are people who own a fleet of taxis, rental cars, and all of that. But what I'm saying here is that I would not blame Sir Joseph. I
No,
would blame the irresponsible leadership in the country. I would think that it's nonsense for you to take taxpayer money to pay salaries for so-called employees who are delivering nothing, and the people are telling you, say, we ain't got no resources, so we just here and the only thing we receive in the budget is to pay salary. I think it doesn't make sense. It's just a waste of the Liberian people money, and that's why they cannot provide the kinds of services needed. Shut down NTA because you cannot provide the resources to keep NTA going. And there are many other institutions in Liberia that are irrelevant, that are obsolete, that shouldn't even be functional. It's all because this president wants to pay salary. He blow their government. He cut monies here. He did this. He did that just so that he can be able to entertain uh, the people who he wants to vote for him. And I think that's what it is. But let us not do it only. Joe is here. Let's go into our conversation tonight. Um, we don't want to hold our guests out too long. Again, gentlemen, we're discussing ALJA here tonight. ALJA is not new for as long as this platform being here. ALJA has been here doing its convention year. So I hope that Joe is ready. I see him is still engaging somewhere back there. Joe, we're coming now. So here you are. Pay attention, my man. Welcome.
yeah, so the president was looking for his hat, my man.
Welcome, my man. Welcome. It's good to see
Mr.
you.
President, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
we don't see the if there's
yeah.
agile
So
rich
maybe
on
you
the
can
hat, we
just
don't
come
see it
down.
because it's
Yeah,
way up.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Okay, yeah. I think you're adjusting now. Okay, he's okay now. Yeah, yeah.
But good to see you, my man. Good that you could make it in here. We know the convention is next week. Um, Moses has sent a tip here and wanted to, kind of tie your hand, tabe you tonight. Say because that your last year and want to know who you leaving the team with. Like, look like you're not construction, you're not conspiracy over the leadership.
That is Volcano boy.
So, it will not be easy here.
Is he leaving there at all?
Huh? No, the man
Is
said
he
we
leaving
implore
there
the
at
man
all?
we
That
implore the
would be
man
a
to
lot of
change the
money.
constitution to go for
Yeah.
a third term, but the man said no, he can't go
You
contract.
want to be like Gabon,
He want to be
eh?
like what a guy from Guinea, Alpha
Yeah.
Conde.
But,
Avocado.
but I thought that, but I
And
thought
change the
Sammy
people
Abu ain't won the
constitution.
election this
Yeah,
weekend. I
Saturday.
said if nobody
Yeah.
run, you can't leave it. You gotta sit it.
So, Mr. President, welcome. How you feel?
Thank you. Thank you all so much for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to be on the issues room. And before I forget, I know you all mentioned it, so let me say I thank you more generally to the crew for. There's always been accommodating, been over backwards to not just promote, the work we do, but more generally the work that ALJA is involved in. I want to say that because, like you mentioned, Volcano, this will perhaps be my last appearance on this program as the president of ALJA. The next time I come back, I will no longer hold the title. So I just want to say thank you to the crew, just for everything you've done.
Can you just do us a favor by facing the camera because you're looking slanted? There you go. There you go. Yeah. All right.
Is it better?
Yeah, yeah, much better.
Yeah.
Now you can face in the audience. We're gonna think you
Okay.
hiding something.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right,
Okay. Yeah.
continue.
So thanks, gentlemen. I'm grateful for again, like I said, all the support over the years. I've served 4 years as vice president of
And
ALJA.
it came so quick, my man.
Yeah, and then the next
I,
another four
I was
years.
just talking to somebody. I said we're in Lincoln Bryan basement baking the man. The man said, "Let me go talk to my wife first." And I can't believe it was 4 years ago.
Yeah, man. four
Yeah,
years
yeah,
ago, man.
and then COVID entered, and
Yeah,
COVID
Yeah.
obviously affected a lot of what we could potentially do, and so COVID was a major hindrance. But that said, it's been a wonderful 4 years as president and 4 years as vice president. I couldn't trade it for anything. I'm just pleased by the work we've done and the support we received from our colleagues. Again, so thanks, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
well, Joe, not Joe, Moses. I know you
Yeah.
want to kick off.
Yeah. Mr. President, welcome again.
Thank you, and thank you so much. Thank you, Moses.
Yeah. Fortunately for you tonight, you got a lot of people, watching. Some may be listening to you. Help the many viewers out there get to know about ALJA a little bit. And when we speak of our ALJA, what the organization is about and what is its role in Liberian journalism.
Thank you, Moses. So, ALJA was established in 1998 by a number of our colleagues who had fled Liberia as a consequence of the Civil War. They came to the U.S., but then said to themselves, even while in the U.S., our voice still need to be heard. And so they established ALJA, one, to continue to engage in advocacy, to continue to call for those things that are important to sustaining our democracy, whether it was the rule of law, freedom of speech, and freedom of the press, whether it was good governance. And so those things they did very, very well. ALJA is also an organization that helps the media landscape in Liberia when it comes to training, capacity building. We believe that we play a pivotal role. We realize the challenges that the media landscape is faced with at this time. And so we've come together, in addition to the advocacy that we do so very well, we've come together to be able to give back consistently to the media in Liberia. So we've done training, we've done capacity building. We are into providing scholarships to students at the Department of Communication and Media Studies at the University of Liberia. So we've continued to do a number of things. And I think by and large, I'm pleased about the role that we continue to play and at the role that will continue to expand. Hopefully, when my successor takes over.
So, what is your membership and the number of chapters you currently have in the Americas?
Currently, there are four active chapters, and our membership now stands pretty close to 100 spread across those four chapters. They include the Delaware Valley chapter, a chapter that the three of you hold membership. Then there's
In
the
fact, it's the largest chapter.
it is
Yeah.
by far the last chapter.
Hmm.
I know the chapter president proudly displayed his members' names a few days ago in the chat room. So yeah, and then the second largest chapter is in terms of number
Yeah,
is
Minnesota.
the Minnesota chapter. The Minnesota folks argue that they are the most impactful. We can argue that we can argue that as well.
So,
And then
so you are debate. Oh.
yeah, and then there is the New England chapter, and then there is the DMV chapter, the DC, Maryland, and Virginia chapter. So those are our four active chapter, and again, I'm just hopeful that the new leadership will continue to expand ALJA's footprint. The goal is to include as many of our colleagues as possible in the organization because the bigger our membership, the more impactful we can be.
Alfonso, he's frozen. But
what would you
hello.
say, Mr. President? Sorry, what was it?
No, go ahead. No, I was just saying Alfonso. But
Hello?
like you were frozen. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. But okay, but if you have another question, go. I'm
No,
not
I was
finished.
saying go
I'm
ahead.
still.
I was saying I
Are
was
you
just
done,
giving you the
Moses?
cue to go ahead. Yeah, I was giving you
Oh,
cue
okay.
to go
All right,
ahead.
Mr.
Yeah.
President. All right, Mr. Okay, okay, Mr. President, welcome. Wonderful. Good to see you. Last time we met was New England, correct? What,
Correct.
a year ago? 2 years.
Correct.
1 year.
Well, 2 years
So
ago.
let me ask you. 2 years ago. Yeah, that's good. Let me ask you. In terms of accomplishments, tell us what you have accomplished as an organization here in the United States where you're located. Not just like not Liberia as yet, but what are your accomplishments and contributions you've done in terms of your membership, in terms of meeting your goals as it relates to impacting your members here.
Yeah. So good question, Alfonso. So why our focus is on making a difference in the media landscape in Liberia, we recognize that we do live here in the United States as members, and one of the things we try to do is that we needed to be impactful in the community in which we live. So we've been engaged here in Minnesota. We've been engaged with local government functionaries here. ALJA 2 years ago signed an agreement with the Minnesota Department of Health. We were really active during COVID, and I mentioned COVID. We felt that as an organization we could play a role in helping to combat COVID. So that agreement require us as an organization to help in the vaccination effort. And so we did that very well, and something I'm very proud of that we were able to accomplish as an organization. We've also been engaged in seeing that our members benefit from. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Somebody, let me just meet the other guys. Go ahead. Continue.
Okay. So our members do a lot. So they and ALJA uh, is sponsored. The financial responsibility of what we do rests on our membership. They do give a lot, but we wanted to see how we could also, as an organization, ensure that we're not just giving and giving, but we are benefiting, from what we do here as an organization. So we've been able to bring on board at our convention different expert speakers to talk about a number of different things, whether it was ensuring that our members were financially secure, giving the financial literacy training, whether our members, have all the information they needed relative to different health insurance information out there. So a number of different discussions have gone across. Our members invited again, like I said, professional, just to make sure that we're not just giving, but we're benefiting from what the organization has to offer. So that's something we've continued to do, and we will hopefully, I'm hoping again, like I said, I'm counting my days. So I got to be careful why I say I'm counting my days. So I don't want to commit the new leadership to anything that they would not do. But I'm really hopeful that, that is something they will be intentional about. So our members are not just giving back, but they're also benefiting from what the organization has to offer them.
You muted.
Alfonso, you think you're muted?
Go ahead, Alfonso. Unmute yourself. You keep muting yourself. Okay, you're good.
All right, sorry. Yeah. So again, thank you. The background of my question was that a lot of our organizations here, once we come together, two, three, five people come together, the first thing we think about is what we can do in Liberia, how we can impact Liberia, but we actually forget about the welfare of our members here. And after a while, it becomes draining. It's no, and people just slide away. So I'm happy that you're doing something along those lines. I want to move the conversation to your Liberia program because I know you mentioned that. What do you see, firstly, as the problem with journalism in Liberia that you're trying to address, and talk a little bit about whether or not you've been successful addressing it?
Yeah, yeah. The challenge is not great when it comes to the media. When it comes to being underfunded, issues of ethics and integrity, and we've talked about that every day. This proliferation of media entities in the country, and the standards are very low. So there are a number of different things happening in the country that we obviously cannot address entirely, but we are doing the very best that we can as an organization. So we said to ourselves, how is it that we can be able to address some of these issues, whether, again, like I said, the issues of integrity, incapacity building, the fact that journalists are being underpaid. How can we address some of these issues? And we thought about setting up the Media Development Fund. It's a tool for fostering independent media entities and supporting them in such a media ecosystem like a bureau. It is from that pool that we draw resources to be able to support our work in Liberia. Um, so that pool of money will go towards capacity building, whether we do it virtually, we conduct trainings in Liberia virtually. There have been instances where we've brought journalists to the US and been able to engage them here in different training capacities. We've been able to provide logistics for the media over the last several years. And then also that money also go towards providing scholarship for students at the university. Again, also the need is huge. I remember last year when we donated, um, I'll say probably close to $9,000 worth of logistics and supplies to the media. There were many other entities that did not benefit, and there were calls back and forth. We can only do so much because of the resources we have, or the lack of resources as presented to us. So we've not been able to, and I don't think any one organization can solve all the problem that exists in the country. But we'll continue to not just do what we can on our own, but partner with the PUL, for example, in trying to address some of these issues that exist in Liberia. A few years ago, we did a panel discussion about some of the very issues I just mentioned. We called together editors and publishers and reporters and just talked about what is it that we can do to solve the myriad of problems that exist amongst us. And it was a really healthy discussion. And arriving out of that discussion was some of the things I just mentioned. But again, it goes beyond that in terms of just the whole issue of media being underfunded. Is it possible, and we encourage that there can be some sort of merger when it comes to these different media institutions, so that way, people, media journalists are paid some sort of livable wage. It's difficult to be able to tackle the issues of ethics and integrity if someone is not being able to make a livable wage. It's really, really difficult. So the first thing is be able to address that. And so those are, really issues we'll continue to talk about. We'll continue to partner with the PEL and other organizations, local and international, to see how we can work together to just be able to solve some of these problems that I just mentioned that continue to plague the media in Liberia.
I got two questions for you. One is you mentioned the PUL, ALJA's relationship with the PUL, and ALJA's relationship with the government through the Ministry of Information. What is it like now? Because being a watchdog here of society, but coming from the diaspora, uh, we've seen press releases coming from ALJA condemning government and also giving praise to government. It's more like a twin mother, trying to balance out when the government does good. You mentioned when the government does bad, but then here's the PUL, on the other hand, in his own crisis and has not been able to really put itself together. What is Alja's role in terms of balancing the equation here? Are you helping to mitigate the crisis within the PUL and at the same time utilize government to play a role? What's going on?
Yeah, so when the PUL crisis began, fortunately, there was a member of our ethics committee in Liberia at the time, and so we spoke to the president, the outgoing president at the time, Mr. Coffey, Charles Coffey, and said to him, "Hey, we are open to be a part of the effort in mediating this crisis, because our goal as an organization is to ensure that the PL remains united. Because the last thing you want is a divided union. If the union becomes divided, it loses its voice, it's weakened, and that is not something we want. And so we were part of that mediation effort, but unfortunately, it did not it did not work. And so we said to the two parties that we remain engaged. We said to the two parties that we want to be able to play a constructive role. We don't want to be seen as partisan, taking one side or the other, because our goal was to say, and then both parties respect ALJA as that, you know. I don't want to say more organization, the PUA is, but they see ALJA as that big brother organization, they respect us, and they want us to be involved. And so we are still in touch with the candidates, the two candidates from the both sides. We are hopeful that at some point, they can come together to resolve this crisis. We had extended an invitation to both parties to attend our convention, just a way of fostering dialogue outside of Liberia. Um, Unfortunately, they will not be able to make it, but to the extent that we can continue to be engaged, AJA will do that with the goal, hopefully, of uniting the PEL and resolving the crisis in a way that is constructive.
I think we've gone a little bit 7:35 now. So let's come to America. Let's come back home. Let's drive this convention. This is the most important reason why you're here tonight, and it is about the convention coming up next weekend. Give us a lineup. What this convention hope to accomplish? What are some of the events? What's going to happen? Have you really mobilized a massive turnout? What Alja itself going to benefit, and the media in Liberia going to benefit as a result of holding this convention? Do you expect for Liberian media practitioners to come as in previous years? Uh, Tell us a little bit.
Yeah,
Awaken the momentum.
that's a lot of questions,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
this is only
Been a
one.
while, man.
Let's
Yeah.
awaken the momentum.
Let me talk about the team. Normally, when a convention is coming up, the leadership sit down and decide on what is it that we want to focus on, what is it that the convention needs to talk about. And when we gathered, we said to ourselves, election is in a matter of when we planned it was in a matter of weeks. Now it's just a little over a month. We were concerned about the elections being transparent. We were concerned about the elections being non-violent. because we believe that um,
You expect a non-violent election for Aja? I mean, a violent election for Aja?
because we believe those two key are important to sustaining our democracy. For us to continue to maintain the fledgling democracy we have, our election has to be transparent, free, credible, but it also has to be void of any violence. And so that is the overarching theme of this year's convention. So we'll speak to those issues. There are speakers here in the U.S., and we do have some speakers from Liberia who will address the convention theme. The convention begins officially on Thursday, the 14th of September. And Volcano, yes, it's true. We'll have some of our colleagues coming from Liberia for the first time, I think, in over 2 years since COVID. So we're really, really pleased that they will be joining us this year because they add value to our convention. Um, uh, the training, that we build around the convention is intended to benefit our colleagues from Liberia. The partnership we've built with uh, universities and institutions, including the journalism school, the University of Minnesota, that will offer us experts to be able to do some of the workshops. Very, very important for our colleagues coming from Liberia.
And
So we're pleased.
any first time newcomer coming? Just quickly, since you're in that.
Yes, but I don't want to call their names right
Yeah,
now.
just a
Yes,
question.
Yeah.
yes,
Is
yes.
it
So
first timer?
yes, there will be first timers coming. Yes, and we're really pleased about that. So we begin on the 14th with a tour of some of the prominent media houses here in Minnesota, beginning with the Minnesota Public Radio. I think it's the largest public radio station here in Minnesota. That visit will begin at 10 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. And then there will be a tour of some of the iconic places in downtown Minneapolis. And then we will go on to CCX Media. It's a public television station here, again, in the Twin Cities, just to give the conferees an opportunity to see systems and technology at work in terms of how these different media entities conduct or day-to-day operation, just to see how similar or how different it is from where they've come from and how they incorporate some of these in their own work if they do return home. And then later on that Thursday evening, there will be what we call the pre-meet and greet at the home of one of our local chapter members. And then Friday is the workshop I just talked about. Again, you mentioned it earlier, Volcano. The ALJA convention is a very intensive convention. It's not all about merrymaking. People are flying thousands of miles away to come for our convention. We want to ensure that they have the maximum benefit when they come to these events. So we'll meet on the campus of the University of Minnesota. Again, like I said, we do have a partnership with the U of M School of Journalism. So we'll be on their campus for the workshop. We'll have some of their professors teach at the workshop on that Friday. We'll be there from 9 in the morning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then there'll be, obviously, they say, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So we will do a boat ride later on that Friday afternoon, and then we'll have the formal meet and greet later on Friday night. On Saturday, which is our General Assembly, the goal is to do a presidential forum. Again, we've talked about what we want to achieve doing, this convention relative to our team. We believe that it is important for the folks who've come forward to announce the candidacy for the presidency to speak to some of the core issues that matter to Liberians more generally. So the goal is to be able to bring not all the candidates, because there are about 20 or some more candidates. The goal is to bring about the five top tier candidates to the table and engage them, not in a debate style, but in a forum style where we're engaging them one after the other. To date, as I speak, we've gotten favorable responses from two of the candidates. We're really hopeful that the other three that we engage, because we're looking at only five candidates to engage on that Saturday morning. when we host the event. So after the forum, we'll have our general assembly where we'll talk about ALJA's activities, the challenges we've had, reflect on the year, and then talk about the future. We'll hold elections. I will present my final report, and then that will wrap up the general assembly. And then when we meet on Saturday evening, which is the climax of the convention, our convention banquet, a fundraising banquet, and awards night. I don't know if I mentioned the ALJA Development Fund. The ALJA Development Fund, or that public date, is that fund that we use to support our activities for the year in Liberia. We realized that we cannot raise all the money we need by ourselves as members of ALJA. So during the banquet, we've invited our friends, we invited our partners, people who believe in the work we do, and say, can you come on this evening and support us so there will be a fundraising done that evening for us to be able to raise money for the work we do in Liberia. And then there will also be an award presented to a number of Liberian journalists who were selected for excellence in the media. This is the first award of its kind that ALJA is doing. We believe as much as we criticize the media on a consistent basis, the media has performed heroically over a period of time. There are individuals in the media who have done some excellent work we believe ALJA needs to recognize. So we'll do that on that Saturday evening as well when we do host the fundraising ball.
Hmm. That-
So,
That's that's so good. And is the issues room going to be awarded?
I'm not saying.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. Look, I just wanted to let the president know so that he can't forget that this year is elections year, right?
Certainly, yes, yes.
And when will that be?
It would be, I
Tell your
probably
many
mentioned
viewers,
it in
yeah.
passing, but it would be at the General Assembly.
Okay.
So we're going to do the presidential forum that Saturday morning.
Hmm.
And then as soon as the forum ends, we enter the General Assembly. And then once we're done with the different formalities, including the presentation of different reports, we will get into elections to elect our new corps of officers for the next 2 years.
So is this going to be a competitive process?
You mean the election?
Yes.
I'm hearing via the elections commission that there was one slate of candidates for each position.
Hmm.
So I don't want to speak for the elections commissioner, but I'm hopeful that there will be some sort of process in place where we get to select whether it is, one set of candidates or many candidates entering the race. At the end of the day, I hope that our elections is at the end of the day, we want our elections to be what it's known for. Always independent, transparent, free, and fair. We've always set the standard as an organization when we do those elections that people walked away knowing that the vote they cast represented the choice that they made. And at the end of the day, we embrace and continue to work for the good of the association.
Just to follow up on that question, when I say competitive process, I was wondering. I know we are heard of few individuals that have already declared their intentions. Are there other competitors? That's what I'm saying.
Well, as far as I know, the Elections Commission published the list of candidates contesting for these elections.
Okay.
And yeah, and when I saw the list, I believe there are all the positions have been applied for. I don't know again, like I said, whether there are other names that are coming up. So I will leave that with the commissioner.
So,
I
for
don't know.
example, for the presidency, how many candidates you got running for that?
This
As
is
far as I know, there is a single candidate for the presidency. That's far as I
Okay.
know. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. I just wanted to be clear on that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
come
Go
here.
ahead, Alfonso or Volcano. Go ahead.
But Moses, let me say this.
Yeah.
I don't think
So, Mr. President,
I
you
don't
talk
think.
about
Let me just say this, Alfonso, before you come in. I don't think it will be unusual.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know when I ran for the presidency twice. I was elected on the white ballot. I probably can say same thing for you. Maybe yes, maybe when you ran for the second time. So I don't think
Yeah.
it would be unusual if there's only one candidate for the presidency. I'm not saying that is the case, but again, like I said, I don't think that would be unusual.
So it's good you said that, for Volcano quickly. It's good you said that, Mr. President. It just speaks a lot about what is happening. You know, when you speak of ALJA in today's Liberia, you're talking about an organization that a lot of people look forward to. So to have an elections that every time we have, people going on white ballot, uh, do we have any partner with people now wanting to step up for, electoral or elected positions? What is happening with ALJA?
I mean, that is one interpretation. The other interpretation can be that the candidate who has declared their intention has perhaps done their groundwork and enjoyed the overwhelming confidence of the broad spectrum of our membership to the point where they believe this person, it should be a consensus candidate. That certainly could be another way to look at it. But I think everyone in ALJA has the right to contest for any position that opens up during an election. So I mean, there could be one way as you interpreted it, but again, like I said, it could also be that we're confident in having a consensus candidate.
And I think it's good for our internal democracy, because what it means here that people who have the intent to take the organization to the next notch is willing to do it without any directs, or someone motivating them to do it. If I step to the place and say I want to be president and no one oppose it, it means that I come prepared, rather than taking a position and just be there in a flow show.
Yeah.
We've seen it happen to organizations where people just come there because they want a title, but they can't work for it, and then they keep the organization stagnated for 2 years. And it's not helpful. So even white ballots, it makes sense. If that's what it is, then it means that our democracy is very prudent. It's clean. Is filtered, and it means there's a consensus that people will say, okay, this is who we want through a white ballot.
Okay. Okay.
I agree.
Alfonso,
It may it's frozen you.
Um, yeah. You have. I mean, I I believe I'm experiencing some connectivity issues here. There's
Yeah.
a storm passing over, so that might be responsible for that. If I happen to go off, sorry about that. But Mr. President, I believe if I heard you correctly, you said AGI's membership is about 100. Uh, if that is true, are you satisfied with that number? Do you think it captures the majority of potential members of the association?
No, I am by no means satisfied with that number. Again, like I said, AJA needs to continue to enlarge in its footprint. We need to have, right now we have only 4 chapters. We need to have as many chapters as possible in as many parts of the country as possible. I know there were some initial discussions with some of our colleagues who live outside of the US. Obviously, our constitution calls for AJA members to be resident in the U.S., but the colleagues who have expressed their interest in becoming part of what we're doing here in the U.S. So we need to be able to do that, expand our reach both here in the U.S. and also out the U.S. If it calls for amending our constitution such that we are including folks who live in other parts, of the world, that is certainly something we need to look into. But no, close to 100 members is by no means the capacity that we can reach. There's a lot of colleagues of ours who are probably still on the fence, and we need to reach out to them. But we need to expand our base, increase our membership, and establish more chapters in as many parts of this country as possible.
Well, Mr. President, let me just say something on that quickly. The name ALJA says Liberian Journalists in the Americas. So if you have Liberian journalists in Europe, then how do you include them? Because if that happens, then you need to have a change in nomenclature.
Yeah,
Isn't
no,
that true?
that's what I said. Our constitution calls for our members to be resident in the U.S. This is clearly
Yes.
said in our constitution. But the constitution, it's not static. Changes can be made in the event the members decide that, just bringing folks from outside the U.S. it will be important and significant in terms of what we want to achieve. That can be it. Or we can decide, look, they might not be members, but we can grant them some sort of status. That way,
Associates,
yeah,
yeah.
exclusive to them. Because I think the goal, to Alphonso's point, is to make sure that we're having, as many of our colleagues as possible involved in what we're trying to do. Because I believe if that is the case, we can be more impactful that way. So, whatever we need to do as a body to have some sort of relationship. If they might not be, again, like I said, members with our colleagues outside the country, that is something we need to look into as well.
Mr. President, I made this proposal when I was board chairman, if you guys remembered, that would be renamed, that we go to the Constitution and consider being Association of Liberian Journalists in the Diaspora. And now, if we become the diaspora, then it opens up the opportunity for Europe, for the Americas, Asia.
Yeah,
You know,
even Africa. Oh, you know.
Yeah.
so, so that's something maybe the next leadership can look at. Or when I become president, I'll be pushing. Go ahead, Alfonso.
So,
Alfonso, take your next
yeah.
question. I
So,
gotta
so where you can, yeah,
Okay.
I'm saying you can make that proposal at the convention during the discussion on Saturday.
I won't be
Might
at
not
this.
Oh,
be
he
there, but
he
Moses
did
can
say
probably.
that. He did say that. Yeah.
That's why I said you you won't be there, but Moses can make that suggestion that hey, let's change our
Yeah.
constitution to
Yeah.
accommodate other people, etc. Um, and let's see what happens. um, so you did talk on
But
your
let me
relationship with the
I know you're
president of
gonna come in
Liberia
quick,
briefly.
Alfonso.
Um, uh,
Alfonso, quickly. I think they when we converged in Washington D.C. in
mhm,
1998, the focus was more America because we didn't have a bigger diaspora in the other parts of the Europe, and it was not that exposed. The war took place. We didn't have enough numbers to say, okay, we're gonna look at it from a diaspora. We're looking at more of us came running to America, and many of us who converged in Washington D.C. thought that it was necessary to say the Americas. But yeah, but I think we can always revisit the nomenclature
Yeah.
and expand it to the diaspora.
Yeah.
But go ahead. Sorry, I just wanted to make that point.
mhm.
Yeah. He's
No, no,
frozen
that's
again.
fine. That's fine because we were on that topic. I mean, it says in the Americas. It says in the Americas anyway. Americas include Mexico, Canada, etc. So you can also
Mhm.
reach out to those people if you want, if you so desire. I also think there are a lot of other former journalists here who could be in the United States, who could be members, who are currently not members. So that could be another place to reach out to them as well. Um, I just wanted to ask about your relationship with the Liberian government. And I ask against the background that at many of your functions, you've previously invited officials of the government to come. So, what's your relationship with them, with the government, and are you inviting government officials this time as well?
I would say, our relationship with the government, I would consider it good, in the sense that whenever we do host our conventions, we make it a policy of inviting a representative from the government, the Ministry of Information. And over the last several years, they've responded favorably to our invitation. I know in 2001, we had the Minister of Information, Lady Hureni, attend our convention in Massachusetts. Mr. Eugene Angwe when he served as Minister of Information, attended our 2018 convention in Minneapolis. We have the press secretary to the president, Mr. Sulu Keba. So we've had representative of the government attend our convention. We are an advocacy organization. We are not partisan, and so we try to foster a good relationship with the government as much as possible, even though that doesn't hold us back to speak freely when we believe we need to, when we believe the government is going wrong. So when we decided on invitees for this year, we deliberately decided not to invite any politician or any government official for that matter, because this is an election year. We've invited politicians before. We've had Mr. Cummings speak at our convention. We have Councilor Donald speak at our convention. We had Peace Peters Arches, Mr. Daniel Cassell speak at our convention. But we deliberately said no to any politician, no to any government official, because with just weeks to the election, we did not want our platform to be used for political purposes. So we did not invite any government official, neither did we invite any politician to our convention this year.
So, Mr. President, you let me just piggyback on that.
You took my time.
Sorry,
Go ahead,
sorry about that.
airplane. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So, what I wanted to say is that it's good that you talk about the elections. Help us understand, yeah, and the many people who are watching tonight. What is ALJA's position, towards the 2023 general presidential election? What do you want to see evolving out of this process?
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier, Moses. We want the elections to be free, right? We want it to be fair. We want it to be transparent. But more importantly, we want it to be conducted in an atmosphere void of violence. It is important for sustaining the peace we enjoy. It is important for strengthening our democracy for those things to happen. So that is what we are calling for. And I was pleased to hear the chairperson of the Elections Commission say recently that the election will be absolutely free and fair. We want to hold her to her word because that is the expectation of every single Liberian. And I'm happy that, again, I heard today that the U.S. government will be involved in this exercise in a way that ensures really that, when the votes are counted, they are counted in a transparent manner. But again, I believe elections is not just about the counting of the vote or the on voting day itself. It's an entire process, voters' education, are people being educated in the way that helps them, access, the ballot the way they should. Are they able to vote in a manner that, that are they knowledgeable in a way that helps them to cast the vote in the manner that they should? All those things need to happen before election day and on election day for the process to be declared free, fair, and transparent. That's what AJA is working towards. That's what we are calling for. So this whole weekend will be, committed to calling for that. Our speakers will be speaking on those issues, in terms of what we all need to do to be able to make sure these elections are credible. One of the things we're also doing, and we talked about it as well, is for the first time we're sending election monitors to monitor these elections. And that's our way of being involved in this exercise. Because at the end of the day, our goal is to after October 10, make sure that the votes that are counted, the results that are declared, represent the will of the Liberian people.
What
So,
you
okay, okay.
Yeah, Volcano, quickly, just this last one to the president. Mr. President, you talk about wanting to see a credible election, election or electoral process that will be violent free. But just from seeing things that are obtaining in Liberia, there are election laws that are brazenly being violated. And the commission, the National Elections Commission, seems a little bit indifferent, not saying anything. Take for example, you have an election laws that says that no political party should spend, more than $3 million. As per the 2004 electoral law, that you spend more than $3 million, for campaigning. Take for example, the president, can spend $2 million. the vice president can spend $1 million. But into this Liberia, you see a ruling party that is actually outspending. You see a ruling party that has done the entire city of Monrovia with billboards. And yeah, you have an elections commissions that looks the other way. Have you raised the red flag? Have you called the NEC to its attention? Hey, look, you said you want this process to be transparent, but we see all these violations. Have you done anything like that?
Not just for the particular issue you mentioned, but I think ALJA has an history of speaking to some of these issues that we've seen that it's making it difficult for you to call the process level playing field. There has to be, a level playing field for candidates to be able to not just campaign, but to have their voices heard. I mean, whether it's on state radio, and we were looking forward, and we had invited one of the top heads of LBS to our convention. We're hopeful that they can show up, because one of the things we want to find out is what are they doing to ensure that all the candidates have equal access, to LBS, because LBS is a state institution. If you look at the newspapers, you'll see the unfair advantage in terms of all the different coverage that the ruling
Yeah,
party gets, as opposed to the folks in opposition. And because they control the purse, they control the country's resources, and there's no accounting, how they use that money right now, in terms of what belongs to the government, is difficult for anybody to tell, because they control the purse, and they're using the resources whatever way they feel they need to use it to benefit their own electioneering purposes. So I think it's unfair. I think it's disappointing. I know, incumbents always have advantages, but there should be ways that, the election commission to keep those things in check, so that it is not done in a way that unfairly disadvantages the other candidates and the other parties in the race.
Since we're still in queue with the elections issue, before I come to bring you back to the U.S. and the convention, you talked about having poll watchers. Are you in contact with the elections commission and how the process is going to be, and who are some of those folks? Or you don't have to call name, but how many folks you intend for ALJA to have represented at the on elections day, watching the electoral process?
Yeah, so early on, we reached out to the Elections Commission and expressed our just interest in having poll watchers at the election, and they were gracious. They accepted our request, and they provided us the information we needed to fill out and send back to the commission. We've done that. I wish ALJA had the funding. Unfortunately, we don't have the funding to send as many individuals as we would like, because there are other members of ALJA who would love to go but don't have the funding. So right now, only 4 individuals will be representing ALJA at these elections. But we're hopeful that they can be able to report back to us. There's certain expectation that we have of those who will be wearing ALJA's vest and representing ALJA at the polls. And one of those would be that they will provide us happenings of what's happening on a consistent basis when they do get to Liberia. So we're pleased about this, because that way we can have eyes on the ground ourselves, and they're telling us what exactly is happening when it comes to.
And,
Um,
does the elections commission guarantee the safety of those poll watchers? I mean, considering the climate right now and what's trending,
well, we haven't
or
asked for, or we haven't.
or the pool watchers gotta have CCTV.
We haven't specifically asked for nor received nor have we received specific assurances from the elections commission when it comes to the safety of our poll watchers. Obviously, we ask the individuals going to just look out for themselves as well, and not get involved in any activity that will be harmful to their person. But no, to answer to your question, we haven't asked for. Maybe that is something I don't know what the election commission can do, because there will not be our poll watchers. There will be hundreds, if not thousands, of poll watchers from not just the party themselves, but many other institutions and organizations in Liberia and outside of Liberia.
But there will be a former regalia or outfit that the persons will, or those
Correct.
people
Correct.
will have.
It will be clearly
Okay.
distinguishable in ALJA's regalia. And we asked the commission whether there were anything specific that we need to do, whether there were specific guidelines when it comes to the vest they have to wear, and they said it was entirely up to us. So we're doing our own design that will clearly show that they represent ALJA.
Thank you. Let's come back to the U.S. Who is the guest speaker for this year? I know you say you trying to stay away from politicians, but
Yeah.
who's the guest speaker? Then quickly, what are some of the attractions for Saturday night? What the audience need to expect?
Well, let me put it another way. I shouldn't say that we're staying away entirely from politicians. I mean, politicians from Liberia
Okay.
who have a vested interest in the elections coming up. Our guest speaker will be the Liberian-born but Colorado Assembly Representative Nikita Ricks. She will speak at the event. We're pleased that we get to hear another voice. She's an American politician but has a Liberian origin, and so we're looking forward to hearing her perspective. And she followed the issues in Liberia very very keenly. I was surprised because in my conversation with her, there were some things that she mentioned, and I was a little surprised that was in tune with what was happening in Liberia, getting her own work schedule here. So I think that's very, very good because it shows that she's enlightened. And when she speaks about our team, she brings her own perspective with the knowledge of what is happening in the country. So that is exciting. At the dinner, in addition to everything else that will happen, we will have a number of different performances. There'll be culture performances. There'll be a ballet performance. We're hoping that we can have a band because one of the things our members have said to us consistently is that we go to these events and we don't party, we don't enjoy ourselves, and there's a lot of talking, a lot of speech making, and so we want to see how we can address that, shorten the different addresses. I'm engaged with all the different speakers to make sure that there's a limit to the time you can speak, just to give people an opportunity to loosen up and just exercise a little bit when it comes to dancing before the convention ends.
Thank you, gentlemen and viewers out there, ladies. If you're just joining us, you're in the issues room. We have with us the outgoing, and I use the word outgoing because this is his last term in office. It'll be 4 years when Mr. Mason leave office in on Saturday next week. Put it that way, when he officially turns the leadership of ALJA over to whoever wins the presidency, and so we want to encourage you to continue to share the word. We see some folks here tonight that we want to quickly acknowledge. Thomas Awaji, thank you so much for joining us. Sarah's Joel McGee, good to see you, my man. The KMTV thing, you just thinking now that you can't count on our shows. We bring you here. Henry Winning, thank you for joining us from Rhode Island. Flomo Livingstone, of course, as usual. Fergie Moyu, Mohammed Krumah, it's good to see you in the house. Adiaha Umo, all the way in Australia. Ma'am, you make it a duty to always be here with us. Tony and Brooks, of course, from Trenton, New Jersey. Edith V. McIntosh. Thank you, Emmanuel Jackson, of course. Emmanuel said he used to teach you, my man. You know Emmanuel Jackson? The man
I do, I do know him very well.
student.
Man, listening to a student, oh,
Yeah.
you gotta be careful, my man.
And our man, Emmanuel Stumbo, we have a good one tonight in memory lane. It is a homage to journalists. So hang around for memory lane tonight. But you know what? I'm gonna open the lines now because we want folks to engage us while the conversation continues. So the number to call 404-272-2808 is posted right here. 404-272-2808. Join us here for the conversation with our outgoing president of the Association of Liberian Journalists here in the Americas, Mr. Joe Mason. Alphonso Yenu, Moses Sandy, Volcano Shelton here, keeping company. Thank you for being there with us. Continue to watch the show. Go ahead. Is it more?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
And Mr. Missing, I would just like to put this question to you that came from Mr. Thomas Awaji, who is currently watching. He said in the United States, newspapers, sometimes some newspapers sometimes impose,
I'll post this stuff.
you
It's
know,
right there.
or Okay, yeah. So his question is that whether ALJA is going to endorse any candidate in Liberia. Then my direct question to you would be that ALJA is 25 years old now. From 1998 up to now, you've been at various level in leadership. Now, ALJA, what would you tell us that over the years, during your stewardship and during the stewardship of other people that you really, single out as some of the challenges this organization is faced with?
Yeah, 25 years, but let me add that 10 of those years were dormant. So not much happened during that period. It's important to mention that before people say, well, 25 years, you guys been around 25 years. No, but I just at some point crumbled and it was resuscitated. So there was a period of 10 years where nothing happened. But, and the question, Moses, was the challenges that we have. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, the challenges over the period, and then from Thomas, whether AJA as an organization will endorse any hopeful, whether presidential or legislative hopeful in Liberia.
Let me answer that question first, and I would say no. We will not. Um, and it's only because our organization includes individuals with different political persuasions and orientation. It goes across the line. There's folks from CDC, UP, you know. So, so we will not be endorsing any candidate, at least not under this administration. Maybe at some point in the future, the new leadership can decide that they need to take a position and endorse a leadership. But I believe that we need to continue to portray that objectivity that we've come to be known for as an organization, that nonpartisan position we've always taken. And I think it helps our cause if we continue to project that image. So under this administration, we will not be endorsing any candidate. Because the challenge is always resources. Um, there's so much to be done in Liberia, but there's very little resources to be able to accomplish everything we need to do. I know and I'm pleased that every year the assistance we provide continue to increase. I'm hoping that will be the case going forward. I'm hoping that this fundraising exercise we'll engage in on Saturday the 16th will surpass the previous records that we've had. So that way we're able to do more. But I think we need to go beyond what we do as an organization, the fundraising method we have. We need to explore other means of raising funds. We've tried that as an organization. Unfortunately, the efforts we made, the avenues we sought, did not yield any fruitful result. But I think it's not for the lack of trying. But the new leadership needs to continue to explore ways that we can generate the most resources to make the most impact. Because with our resources, there's very little we can do to shift the media landscape.
Alfonso?
Yeah, thank you. I'm a little concerned about the elections, and I know you mentioned that earlier, Mr. President. You were concerned about election violence as well. I know there are certain things that should happen in elections to prevent election violence. So let me ask you: do you see those things happening as we have what about 33 days or so left to elections? Do you see those steps being put into place to ensure that we actually have free, fair, and peaceful elections in Liberia? And if there are any pitfalls, has your organization spoken out, or are you doing some? I know you say you'll be monitoring the elections, but that's just one aspect of that
Yeah.
process. Are you satisfied in terms of where we are currently in the election process?
No, I'm not satisfied, Alfonso. We've seen acts of violence take place in the country. Um, I was speaking to a colleague of mine who was up in Nimba, and he reported that someone's attacked in Nimba. An opposition supporter was attacked in Nimba. So it's not isolated. It's happening in different parts of the country. And then we've also heard remarks from um, candidates, from individuals and from candidates that have not been very, very helpful. And we will advise individuals, especially the people who are running for the highest office in the nation or running for any elected position for that matter, because they do have their constituents, they do have the supporters who listen to them. Every candidate in this race has an obligation to make sure that you're speaking to the supporters. They're urging them to refrain from any form of violence whatsoever. That is something we'll continue to encourage, candidates to do, because we all know from whence we've come as a country. We know our history as a nation. And the last thing we want to do is to resort to violence as a means of resolving crisis. It has never helped us before. It will not help us. Again, like I said, there are ways that we solve crisis, and we should do those without resorting to violent means. I know there have been occasions where one group feel unfairly treated. One group feels that the powers that be, have the government on their side, and so they can do whatever they want to do. And sometimes it's frustrating. But our advice is that to all the candidates, let's seek um, the peaceful part in terms of resolving conflicts, resolving disputes, and let's go to the elections and come out in a way that is peaceful. Just for the good of this country and for sustaining the democracy that we enjoy.
Getting a little bit of muffle and feedback from.
Yeah, there's echo
I
from
Do
guess
you.
you
I
think
guess you got use a
that
mute
you're
on
in?
your end.
Is that me? For
No,
me?
probably other people need a mute. Let me just see. Go ahead, Alfonso. Ask the last question so I can mute you. Go ahead. Go ahead, Alfonso. You're good.
I think
Okay,
it's
is that
okay.
you're still hearing the echo?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Just go ahead.
It- uh, Are you are you satisfied with the role of the Liberian media in terms of reporting on election process, ensuring that the peace is kept? Are you satisfied with the role the Liberian media is currently playing in the election process?
I would say the Liberian media can do better. I mean, I've seen stories, I've seen headlines that have been very disappointing. Um, there are times when the coverage seems to be slanted one way, as opposed to providing biased coverage to candidates um, who are newsworthy or who say something that is newsworthy. And so, no, I think the media still has a lot to do, but the media is challenged, Alfonso. And we mentioned earlier, I think Moses mentioned the fact that the ruling establishment is spending significant amount of money, and given the challenges the media face, it's difficult to see how they will not accept the money out there and provide favorable coverage to one party versus the other. We've also seen, press releases come from one party or one candidate, and it comes in the papers as opposed suggesting that this is an objective story. You will see, several different newspapers run the same headline. I mean, it's astonishing when I see it. I'm like, okay, is everybody saying the same thing? And like, I gave you a classic example. So the headline will read, and I'm just saying it, nothing to do with Mr. Cummings. Is headline will read, Cummings makes inroads in Nigeria. Well, you would think that is based on some objective analysis of a reporter who has conducted some sort of poll or who has credible information about the fact that Mr. Cummings has indeed made significant gains in the interior. But then you see the same headline in all the papers, or maybe three or four different papers. You ask yourself, well, how is it that everyone is reporting the same headline? Is everyone having the same opinion about Mr. Cummings? So it appears to be, that the parties and the candidates are writing press releases and handing these press releases out to these institutions, and they're running with them as if these are objective stories that reported on the ground or at the headquarters is covering. So the challenges are there. Some of the same challenges we talked about that we're trying to address as an organization. There's a catchphrase on our conventions, right, that says ethics and integrity matter. That is so important to journalism in terms of just the core value of what we ought to uphold, as journalists and the people who practice this profession. But again, like I said, given the ecosystem that exists in Liberia, people can be easy to compromise, and sometimes ethics and integrity go out the window.
Mr. President, I know that you've covered a lot of grounds here tonight. We talked a lot about ALJA and what it has done over time. But right now, Liberia is the focal, and I think everyone is looking toward elections day, October 10th. That is why you have come forth to participate in the process, particularly having pool washers go and see how transparent, free, and fair non-violence these elections will be. How hopeful are you, uh, considering where we are? Yesterday, quote unquote, President Weah pulled a crowd of 1 million accordingly. Somebody said, see the crowd. And so I texted and I said, what is the standing capacity of the stadium? Because they were not sitting, right? ATS. But the truth here of the matter is, I've never seen an exploitation of of elections compared to this election. Exploitation in the fact that we talk about campaign, we talk about how the government is using taxpayers' monies, and it's just scaring. Do you see the media being compromised in all of this? Because we heard that the president had called a media meeting, and points were shared. Did I just say anything about it? Because it bothers me that the president is so disintegrated right now that it doesn't have the clout and the authority to even say anything because of its current status. What is Aja doing? Alja, 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 what are you doing? There's a lot of things happening right now in Liberia.
Yeah.
And with your intentions for us to get to October 10th, are you not afraid that this could explode?
You, you know, I hope not. Again, like I said, it's based on the concerns that we have about possible violence, overtaking the whole exercise, that we're speaking to it in during our convention, and will continue to do so, hopefully even after the convention. You talk about the possibility that the media is compromised. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Let me put it this way. You know, I
No,
don't want to say I
I
don't
don't,
want to attack.
I
It's
don't want you,
difficult to attack the entire media.
well, hold on here, sir. I don't want you to play around here, because when you have a proliferation of media
Yes,
in
yes,
the country, then there's a potential for compromise.
correct, correct.
Because how are they surviving? They have to be compromised to
So
survive.
so so someone made a point. I think one of the I just saw on the screen there. Someone made a point that there's a difference between PR and hard news. I agree, completely. You will know PR when you see PR. You will know hard news when you see hard news. Sometimes both are being conflicted now when it comes to what is happening in Liberia. PR was supposed to be PR, clearly paid for, signed up by the party or individuals. But now hard news is being conflicted for PR and vice versa. That was the point I was trying to make.
But pay attention to the question from the same writer. Cheche Jeblason says here, Mr. President, you've mentioned 4 ALJA members to monitor the elections. So they have back. He meant to say, do they
So
have?
they have background.
No, he's asking, do they have background in elections monitoring, and are they free of political affiliations? You said ALJA members. So reference when you address not endorsing a candidate.
Yeah, so when I said not endorsing the candidate, I'm sure my good friend and brother, Mr. Jefferson, would agree with me that look, we all
So,
have, we all, yeah, Moses, you're saying something? You got what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Quickly, just this information I want to pass. Volcano. A lot of people trying to reach this number, but they're going
But
strictly to voicemail. So
that's
I
what
just want to keep
that's
you.
what.
Yeah.
So, but then let's put your number then.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, let's
They've
do that.
been trying to
You
reach you.
know
They're
why?
going strictly to voicemail. Yeah.
I'm looking at here at the phone and it's not ringing.
Yeah. Going to voicemail. Yeah.
I'm on Wi-Fi call
Yeah.
because sometimes signal, you know. So
Yeah. Sorry about that, Joe. Go ahead.
Yeah, so just to address the point Jefferson raised, and it's a good point, but my response would be um, I, as an organization, have tried over the years to project an image of objectivity or neutrality. But that doesn't mean that people in ALJA don't hold political opinions or don't support one candidate or the other. I think ALJA members are individuals and they have the right to select whoever candidate they so desire to support. When we decided on individuals who represent us at the poll, it was not based on whether they support a candidate or the other, or whether they've said something or the other. We said to ourselves, we believe or will hold them to account. We're saying to them, we are sending you out there with the expectation that your political opinion, your political position will in no way influence the role you're playing as a monitor. That is our expectation. Again, because like I said, if we said to ourselves, let not send anybody with any political affiliation, it will be hard to find that person. Because other public or privately, people do hold their own political persuasions. But we're hopeful, Mr. Jablison, and you asked about whether they have any experience. I don't think any of these individuals have hold any prior experience, but that is not a disqualifier. The election commission was not looking for individuals with prior experience in election monitoring to be able to serve as monitor this time around. We believe that whatever crash course that we're engaged in the commission, whatever crash course, whatever information that they required will be provided them when they get to Liberia to make it easier for them to be able to perform the role of a poll watcher. So that is our expectation. So no, they don't have any prior election monitoring record, at least that I know of.
let me quickly reiterate the number now to call is 302 9 rather 494 4688 302 494 4688. And once you call, Moses will just put his phone to the mic. I guess it's signal problem here tonight. It keeps saying searching for service, so I see why. I'll have to take it up with Xfinity.
It's been
Um, but I think we've covered all of the grounds. Let's go around the room one more question so we can wrap this up. It's 8:30 in the city, so we can move on to the next segments of our broadcast. So Alfonso, one question. Moses, one question, and let's let the president be. Let me unmute you, Alfonso. I got you. I guess you messed with it, so go ahead and you unmute. Good, you're good.
Yeah, Moses, you can go. Okay.
Okay. Look, Mr. President.
Oh,
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, Alfonso.
Go ahead, Moses.
okay.
Alfonso, drink.
Yeah. The man's Go ahead, man. You're confusing me now. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Moses.
Okay.
All right. No. I was muted. That's why I was something about Volcano has unmuted me, so that's good.
Okay.
So Mr. President, what are your oops, what do you see in terms of the future of ALJA and the future of journalism in general in Liberia, given that even though you'll remain engaged, hopefully, but you're leaving the helm of leadership of ALJA. What do you hope that the incoming administration and members of ALJA work towards? What were some of the things that you wish you had accomplished for that you didn't accomplish or to be accomplished for?
Yeah, thank you, Alfonso. So my expectation is that the new leadership will continue to improve upon the successes that we were able to achieve, whether it is increasing the assistance to the Liberian media, which they so desperately need, whether it is expanding the reach, and we talked about, just whether it's outside, the U.S. or in Liberia, but I just reach need to be expanded. Um, Agile needs to be more engaged locally. We've started our effort again, like I said, with some of the local departments here in the U.S. We need to be engaged in different states, not just here in Minnesota where I reside. But there are a lot of things that organizations can do locally when you're partnering with states and local organizations, and we need to continue to do that. Challenge is again, like I said, the most always funding. How do we raise money to do all the things we want to do? We can't continue to rely on the dues we pay, or the convention package fee for folks pay. We need to have a more sustained, robust way of sustaining address operation on a consistent basis every year. Because right now, the students at the university who depend on ALJA for their assistance. I know they're on scholarship, it's free tuition, but there are a lot of other things that they need help with that ALJA is providing for the students on our scholarship, and they need that money on a consistent basis. So it has to be there to be able to provide. So that will be the challenge I think we need to surmount as an organization, to have that more sustained, robust income generating source that propels us to be able to do a lot more when it comes to impacting the media landscape.
So, Mr. President, ALJA, the government is continuity. When you took over the leadership of this organization, you started from where someone left it,
Am I
and
recording
and
you?
you were part of the administration.
I
So,
know.
you started from where we left it at, okay, and then you are leaving it to where water comes in to continue on. We don't want, as we often hear in Liberia, I am the best result. I have done this.
Since
At
1998.
yeah, say
No,
1847,
no,
nobody has done
that's it.
anything. Yeah,
1998. The Aja
yeah,
birthday.
yeah. Since 1998, I am the most accomplished. And you say all the people who came before me, they are nobody. Uh, you don't want a leadership coming in tomorrow and telling you, "Oh, guys, we got a call. Let
All
me
right.
take this call quickly."
Yeah.
Hello. Yes, sir. Oh, McGee. Yes, sir.
Yep.
This is the issues room.
Just
What
put
you
him,
got to say? Yeah, go ahead,
put,
Cyrus.
put him to the mic.
I've been in the issues. I've been in the issues room watching and listening keenly because my president is on,
Yeah.
and I can proudly say that for the first time, we're going to be taking the lead ahead of Liberia to have two former presidents that we can look up to, Mr. Sunday
Yeah.
or Mr. Mason.
Yeah.
To former president. What can we do? Because I know you guys are not leaving us anytime soon. Like when there are issues, I call Mr. Sunday. You are always ready to give us your candid advice, and we never fail on them. And I trust Joe. He's a wonderful person. He's been a great leader. In spite of everything, there were challenges. There are still challenges, and he stood with us and made sure that we are where we are today. And we are hoping that the new leadership of ALJA will pick up from where Joe Mason will start and take us into a new height. I like your question you were asking. Now the debate going to be the two going former president or former president, you know. But I think you guys served. You laid a path that Joe did not put away. He ran with, and achieve on what you developed.
Yeah.
And with the support of the leadership, the members, I know there have been a couple of times that the leader will say that it's not 100% encouraging, but you guys been there to make sure that ALJA remain afloat, even in the time like this that some of us would bow our heads as members of the president or former members of the president of Liberia that is in crisis at this particular critical period of our country, where the media should be challenging our national leaders or those seeking leadership in our country in what have you done, or what are you intending to do? And I can say this publicly: since this campaign opened, none of the political parties have laid a full platform of what they want or what they're going to do for Liberia. Everybody out there showing their jobs, doing their thing, you know, just mesmerizing the people. But if I may be right, or somebody may correct me, I've not seen a full platform laid from any of the political parties that this is my manifesto I'm going to be running on, or this is what I've done. And, constructively, I expected that from the city yesterday from their launch, where they have laid a full platform. We've led the country 5, 6 years. This is what we've done. This is what we intend to do. We're lucky to see what the Baka team, the Cummins, the Gonglo, the money by others will tell us that we have a full platform for Liberia. But until we can see that, everybody's still running to what the people want to listen to, what they feel that messages should be tailored to. And on a side note, the president, who should be the watchdog, is stuck in court. We are still here to see what the court going to say. We are still here to find a leadership to look up to in this dispensation. ALJA remains the strongest voice, and I'm happy that Mr. Joe Mason, backed by our former leaders and people who are around, are making a case for the Liberian people. We're not keeping the media voices shut down totally. So, Joe, I must commend you, Mr. President, for what you're doing. Keep it up. And we look into next week. We hope that we can pull the tricks, because whenever people come to Minnesota, they always go over records. They want to come back. They're wishing that the next convention is back in Minnesota. And just before I leave the issues room,
they're running a public.
The
make campaign already.
No, the campaign has been running already. But Volcano, I'm not running from the issues room. Whenever you want me on, let me know ahead of time. I will make my time to come on, especially at this time that we have to discuss what's in our country. We'll not shy away from, throwing our voices out there. Congratulations, Mr. President, for leading us through these 4 years. And we hope to see what the weekend brings and where we go next after this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cyrus.
Thank you, Cyrus.
And I think I'd like to say this, Joe, before you come in. Cyrus struck a point, and I think the point here is that the pathway to the presidency of Liberia is just like somebody get on a sour taxi. You remember sour taxi? And somebody push him to the presidency. The people don't take Liberia's presidency seriously. No debate. No articulating the issues. All they go, the men popular, so let run behind. The men are public service men for 45 years. The other men are football player for he kept Liberia on the map. You kidding me? That football kept Liberia on the map. Do you know how Liberia was on the map and when Liberia got on the map before we was playing football? Then you say he kept Liberia on the map. So all these kinds of nonsense that people put forth, that will make the candidates say, okay, the people are stupid people. So when I even take it seriously, I know I will get to the presidency rather by all means. That is why we are where we are. Nobody, all these candidates don't take that country seriously. And it's sad. It's sad.
I think the thing about politics is that our elections have never been about the issues. They've never been about the issues. People don't vote on the basis of the issue. Elections have always been about the candidate. How many persons like the particular candidate versus how many persons like the other. It's always been about the individual. It's never been about policy. And no wonder why, like Sarah said, there was no policy position. No manifesto at the CDC rally. There might not be any at UP rally as well, because people don't follow those things. They don't mean a lot to the large majority of the Liberian people. They only matter to a few people who take very keen interest in politics. But majority of people just want to support the candidate they want to support. No matter what a candidate does or say, they will support that candidate, and that's the sad reality of our politics.
Yeah, and
So let
just to
Moses,
continue on my question,
Moses, I thought we're
yeah,
done.
no, I didn't complete my question. You know, the guy was coming in,
Oh, okay,
but
let's quick.
yeah, quickly, let me just put this to Joe, so that what I was saying, Mr. President, is that we don't want you to leave office today, and then tomorrow someone come and say, "Oh, you know, we took the organization. When we took over the organization, the coffer was empty." I'm not telling you to tell us how much money we have. I know you're going to do your formal report, but in summary, can you tell the many people listening to you tonight that financially ALJA is stable?
Aja is in a good place. I would say that Aja is in a good place. It can be in a better place, but it's I know many
Just say it's
many
not. Say it's not in a bad. It's not in a bad place. It's
yeah,
in a good
yeah,
place.
it is a good
Yeah,
place.
yeah, yeah.
You
At
know,
least
I
they're
know
making a
Moses.
case.
I know
Yeah,
Moses many years ago. I remember when we were in the process of
yeah. We have to
discussing with
borrow.
Aja.
Yeah.
We had to literally borrow money from each other to host conventions. Those
Hmm.
were the days.
Yeah.
But I think we've gone beyond those days, and to the point where we can not do that. But again, I think we need to continue to encourage our members because we survive on dues and payment from our members, and they have to follow through. They can't just assume that Aja is in a good place by assuming it's in a good place. You cannot pay your money and assume Aja is in a good place. We have to support our organization financially for us to say it's in a good place. So we're not in a bad place, but we can be in a better place if people commit to go to the resources and pay their obligation that is due to the organization.
Thank you. And
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you for not telling the
So
people that you are ALJA best preserve.
No, let me say this. Let me say this, Moses. Look, the goal of every leader, my dream is that whoever takes over from me will excel. I want them to do better. I want them to move the organization in a direction, that I could not move it because I could only bring it this far. Someone has to move it further. But I think a larger point is every leader. I hope so. I hope whoever the new president will be will continue to seek our counsel. And like our soldier council. Because I believe we bring a lot to bear, given our own experience over the years. I was vice president for 4 years and president for 4 years. You were president for 4 years, so you can't buy that level of experience when it comes to running an organization. So I'm hopeful that whoever becomes the president will seek our counsel, will seek our advice from time to time, and move in the organization in a more positive way. And it's difficult to seek my counsel when you're disparaging me or when you're throwing me under the bus. I'm sure the same thing can be said of you. No one will
Yeah,
get your advice. They will throw you
yeah,
under the bus and making it seem that you have not done anything. But
right.
you move the organization from where it was, give it prominence. I move it to the next level, and hopefully somebody else will move it even further.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for showing up. Unfortunately, the rest of your team didn't make it here tonight, but I think as the president, you hold the gavel. You represented well, and so we want to thank you. Hang in there with us. We're gonna go to memory lane right now. There's something, as I said, was done by Dr. Manin Suma, who is the major contributor to this segment of the program, and he wrote something here tonight, and is a kind of homage to Liberian journalists. So let's hear from Dr. Manin Sumo. He says here, runners versus front runners. Forget not the storyteller. 32 years or 32 days rather to elections on October 10, 2023. The clock is ticking down to history. But before I relate, let me run my mouth small. Y'all remember General Charles Julu? As part of my studies, I was opportune to sit with some members of the Talbot family for a face to face conversation. Interestingly, I learned that in 1973, Charles Julu and others attempted to overthrow Talbot's government in a failed coup. I didn't know that. Julu was disrobed from the armed forces of Liberia, but there is no report if Julu was persecuted for sedation. On September 15, the same Mr. Julu, 1994, now General Charles Julu again penetrated Ecomoc guides and found his way into the executive mansion in Monrovia in an attempt to instate himself as head of state. General Julu was later ejected by Ecomoc forces. Upon his ejection, Julu pleaded with Ecomoc to play his cassette. Yo, just let me play my cassette small, man. Despite these challenges of coups and wars, poverty, disease, and economic stagnation, Liberia is on the verge of regaining its position in the Community of Nations. Liberia is Africa's pride and once a state of refuge to all of Africa. We plead thee, I am proud to be a Liberian. In politics, a frontrunner is the leader in an electoral race. He or she is presumed to win the race, but the race is not to the swift, but the one who endureth to the end. From our lens of politics, a runner is someone who runs. Some run for recognition, while others run to build a curriculum vitae or a professional resume. So, as we vote for runners or front runners this October, let us remember our fallen brothers and sisters from the Fourth Estate, the press in Liberia, who helped to make this democracy possible today. Looking back, you'll remember Albert Port, Charles William, Patrick Manjo, and Marie Zah. How can we forget Moses Washington, Gabriel Gwalakaju, Wilbur Stummerfield, Gaswa Yamento, Alhaji Krumah, and the amazing Emmanuel Buya? You'll remember Richard A. Wilson, RAW, Eustace Smith, Philip Wisset, Blambo Robinson, Victoria Christopher, Yeda Addison. Let's remember Tom Kamara, and the list goes on and on. In Liberia, journalists are subjected rather, to abuses, threats, and false imprisonment. Yet they put their lives on the line to give you information so deserved. Today, Memory Lane is pleased to salute all journalists of Liberia, dead and living, dead but alive, for the job well done. To our illustrious journalists, it is not about the Kadu or what we call Kato. It's about your services. Keep on flying on the wings of truth, social justice, and advocacy. So as we go to elections, do not be carried away by large campaign turnouts. Most in the crowd are idle and looking for something to pass their day. Remember, the race is not for the large crowd, but to the one who has Liberia at heart. Do not be carried away by the all-time campaign promises. We've heard that many, many times, and they all have failed us. Vote for credibility. Vote for result-driven candidates. Vote your future. Vote Liberia. Remember, if your Christmas will be a good one, you will tell from the east. I come in peace. And this is written by Manin Sumo, Augustine Manin Sumo, a contributor here in the issues room. And he was talking about runners and forerunners in these elections and the role of the media. And he paid homage to some of our fallen heroes and brothers who have served as media practitioners, shaping the media in our country. Thank you, Manin, for this contribution. It's time for what type of country is this? And Joe was here before. He's not strange to it. We'll bring him back this time around to share in. Oh, wait a minute. What's going on here again? Don't tell me you're going to start here tonight. Okay, I see why.
Technology want to knock you off.
It's not gonna happen because I didn't put it in the right queue, so it
Okay.
won't come on. So we'll just eliminate that and
Okay.
continue on with what type of country is this? Moses, who goes first?
Well, before I begin, I just want to say thank you too to Dr. Small, for a well-penned, commentary, paying homage to our many colleagues who have departed this universe and the role they play, is commendable. So, Dr. Small, thanks for being there for us. Well, what type of country is this that the ruling party that's supposed to be enforcing the laws of the country is using, taxpayers' money openly without no sense of accountability? What type of country is this?
What type of country is this that the government is still paying salary to institution that don't have no function? They ain't doing nothing. The manager go there play choco, ludo, sit down on Facebook, and they get paid every month. And the head go to the national legislature and admit that listen, we just go to work, but no resources in the budget. The only thing they put in the budget for us that salary. What type of country is this?
Yeah. Alfonso?
What type of country is this where you work, you ask for your pay, they say they will fire you?
But you doing, in fact, you doing
Oh,
nothing for the pay. You doing nothing for the pay. So like those
Yeah.
men who are the National Transport Authority asking for the pay, but they go to work, they just play Ludo and chocolate.
Yeah.
They ain't doing nothing. How, how,
let it,
how do
let
you
it go,
justify?
let it go out for pay. They say, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
how do you
Yeah.
justify that?
They say, oh, my
you
man,
know,
you want pay? When you ask for pay, we'll fire you.
man, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. I still
Man,
remember
bro
that.
says, bro, say, he said, we don't have journalists in Liberia now. We have guys wearing vests and carrying recorders all over the place.
Oh, what a
so, Mr. Mason, do you agree with that?
I know. Reverend is being more general, though, but the,
But,
the,
but
uh,
he also says, I must admit, I don't have much respect for journalists in Liberia now. Like
Did not.
professionalism and ethics of journalism.
Ooh, damn, man, that's a
yeah,
broad brush, oh, the man
I
using.
know
Oh.
very broad, right?
But the
I
man
feel like
also says here again, I grew up in an era of great journalism. I'm not impressed by present day journalism.
yeah,
Go
I mean
ahead, Joe.
there's no
man,
mis
a
there's
man
no
fell.
yeah. I don't argue with the fact that there's serious challenges when it comes to the media in Liberia. But again, like I said, there are colleagues of ours who are doing some amazing work, and we'll be recognizing a few of them at our convention. So there are exceptions. I and those.
I hope my man Frank Siwola is on the list.
Unfortunately, he didn't make the list this time around. But
Okay.
Frank is deserving of media excellence award any day. I'm sure that is a
Yeah,
sentiment many people will share.
It is.
that's
But
my
I just want to
point.
piggyback to some of the things you guys said. And I listened to this hearing with the folks of the MPA, and I couldn't understand for the life of me how they could not answer some basic questions. So, what I would phrase it this way: what sort of country is this that the authority at an agency of government do not know or cannot say whether they receive amount that was allotted for them in the budget? What sort of
Yeah.
country is this?
What type of country is this?
The
And and,
transport
and
MT.
interestingly,
Mhm.
when you look at some of these debates in the House, or not debates, but not confirmation.
Confirmation hearings
I
or
won't call it
hearings.
hearing, just hearings, uh,
Yeah. Hmm.
citing them, bringing them because they're not functioning. You
Hmm.
still got people who justify some of this nonsense
Oh,
in
of
that
course.
very legislature.
Hmm.
You know, Thomas
Yeah.
Awaji, Thomas Awaji say here, those were the days when ELBC, ELTV rather, and LBS had reputation. Uh,
Absolutely.
um,
But Frank, I said this too much. Look, you guys can admit. Look, there were days when you could count the radio station and newspapers. I mean, right
Yeah.
now there's so many media entities out there. You don't have professional and trained people to work at these entities. So many folks are just like you said, just grabbing a microphone and because there exists a radio station that they need voices to work at. There exists a newspaper they need people to write for. There exists television stations need people to go on the air and broadcast. So you have all these media entities chasing few qualified people. So at the end of the day, you have a lot of people who are not qualified who are working in these entities and calling themselves journalists and giving a bad into the profession in the
But
process.
you know what is interesting, Joe? And let me just read this quick. Thomas Awaji says here, what type of country is this where the young people are chanting, "We want cooch,
Hmm.
we want cooch, we want cooch"? The street talk that is
Yeah.
happening, that is happening. I think he meant to say hampering the growth of
Yeah,
the people.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What type of
Hmm.
country is this?
Hmm.
He comes back and say, where you see the same people at every
Every political rally.
so that recyclable
Man, I think I see what business. What you talking
recyclable.
about?
Well, man, if you can get 20, if you can get $20 from WEI, you get $20 from ANC, you get 20 bucks from JNB. You got
Man,
your money.
yeah,
Assistant boss right there.
yeah, my man, the family will eat for one week, my man. I
No,
still think about it.
Don't know, get you 10, get you $10.
no,
I'm sorry,
don't go say that money you will get five. Carry Mobile will get 15. Then
Yeah, my man,
I will get Sarah Beslo Yanati who just on retirement. She'll
at
get
least she will give you $3.
you'll get 20. No, you'll get 20. Good man. But if you going around collecting t-shirt and collecting your little 20, I mean you get paid for the money that
All
news speed
right,
on the
all
ground.
right.
They
Oh
know
man,
they want to say that the news speed that news
yeah,
speed
my man, I see your speed about the thing I
yeah,
see about it. You get about 10 t-shirts. Joe Mason going out, you go there, the man drop $10 on you. Moses any kind, you drop $10. You end up getting more money than the people who working.
All right,
So
all
the thing
right.
I see also the
and your wardrobe building up. I mean, Libra, Libra is a funny story, man. I, I give up. Emmanuel Jackson says that, what type of country is this? The partisans of the ruling party prefer drugs, push, and having their standard bearer re-elected for such behavior to continue in their lives. What type of country is this?
Yeah, man, that's very weird,
What type
man.
of
To
country?
hear people chanting, "We want cooch, we want cooch."
What type of country is this? What type of country is this? I'm telling you, it's serious. Adia Umose, those young people are just a lost generation.
I tell you, man.
Lost generation. And,
Definitely,
and,
man.
and, and Joe, I mean, as we wrap up, you know what scares me every day I think about it? Who do we leave Liberia to?
I tell you.
We have entered the diaspora. We have built our own platforms in ways that we can sustain. You take me from here, you put me in China, I will speak Chinese. I don't care how you put it, I will speak Chinese,
You also,
right?
yeah.
I also, meaning I will speak Chinese
Yeah.
anywhere right now. But because our foundation was built prior to the war, right? The Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us went to school, graduated before the Civil War. So our foundation was built. So we can fit in many places. But imagine this generation that is on Pimpin now, and now they not find a new speed camping t-shirt and payments. I saw footages of the Pimpin guy and the other man said, I'm the representative of all the Pimpin men. I don't know how they take the money to give it to the other guy. I said, how much? He said $10,000. And my
Yeah.
man here now we get the money.
And man, give it all.
Man, give it 10G. You know what
Yeah.
10G mean?
And give it.
So I get scared, Joe. I get scared every day for our country. We have
Man,
but it's scary.
In Liberian parlance, man, we
It's
say the
scary.
man give it means that the man escape.
Go ahead, Joe.
If you consider what we
Well, hold on, y'all.
Yeah, go ahead.
If
Go
I say
ahead, Alphonso. The man is frozen again.
hey, having a night,
No, no, no. No, I'm not freezing. I Joe was talking that way. I kept quiet.
Oh, I thought you said hold on,
Oh,
guys. Oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah.
I thought you
Yeah,
wanted
go
to say,
ahead,
go
Joe.
ahead, Joe.
Oh no, no. I was saying, if you consider where our country is right now, and you contrast that, to countries in the sub-region, our neighbors, some of these countries where, a couple of years ago we were miles ahead of them. And we considered, where we are in all aspects of development. It is sad, and what is important is that many of the folks seem to be content with the present circumstance to the point they want to continue the status quo. It is important because you ask yourself, where is this country heading? Imagine what happens. Whatever way the election goes, the expectation is that we will want a better country, we want a better system, we want things put in place. Where we can all go back and thrive. Where you don't have people literally supporting people here because people in the country cannot afford just some of the basic things of life. I mean, you talk about the per capita income, how people, the kind of salary people earn. It's all over in every aspect, all sectors of the country, whether it's health, education, infrastructure. I mean, it cries out, for a change, something dramatically different, than what we have right now. I couldn't agree more, and I think we're in dire straits as a country. I don't know how we'll get out of where we are right now. Hopefully, these elections, depending on the outcome, will make that difference. I don't know. I'm suspicious because look, like we are who we are. And I can be critical about this because some of the folks now who are in the opposition who are crying, there were same folks who were there years ago, and there's some of the same things that the current government is doing. They criticize then, but when they're out of power, they criticize when they're out of power, but when they're in power, they do some of the very same things. So it's a vicious circle. There's no guarantee. Right now, I tell you, I got no guarantee that whoever takes over this country will make a change that it will be dramatically different, that will radically transform this country and move it in the direction that we want to move it. I have that skepticism just because it's the same old folks who will get back in government and and do some of the same things that folks now are doing. I mean, the people who are leading now, whether it's the Twer, whether it's the Nangme or whoever, they folks were criticizing. They were the ones, actively criticizing people who were in government. Now look at where they are right now. So that is my skepticism. That is, my issue I have with the government system and the fact that, but everything depends on the head, which is why I think it's important that we elect someone, because we have a powerful presidency. Change has to start from the top. It will never start from the bottom. The person who runs the country has to be the one to set in motion the change that we need, the difference that needs to happen in our country. Otherwise, we keep the same mistakes over and over.
Thank you. Let me just read this last few and then we get out of here quick. What type of country is this? Samuel Abu, the ruling party signed gay rights law and denied signing for
For
campaign
campaign
reasons.
reasons. Yeah.
What type of country is this? And I heard that
Yeah.
took place in Zambia.
Yeah.
What type of country is this? Chichie Jeblason says when
Number
the two
two.
leading political parties are courting parties of warring factions, but the people yearn for justice. What type of country is this?
Yeah. What type of country is
Michael
this?
Jackson said our country is in a serious predicament in these into the future. The country needs constructive leadership.
Absolutely.
So, gentlemen, thank you. We gotta go. It's 5 after 9. It was good show, Mr. Mason. It was good having you here. You held the grounds.
Thank you.
Again, all roads lead to Minnesota for the ALJA convention, uh, starting Thursday into Sunday next week. So those of you who have not made payments, I myself is in the boat. My payments will be made on the eve of on the eve of okay
That's a payday.
on the eve of the convention. So I've committed my payment. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, I wouldn't be at the convention. Would be in Liberia representing ALJA in the issues room, participating in the elections to bring coverage, and of course, we are nonpartisan. Whatever we see, that's what we report, and we hope that the Liberian government will accord us the courtesy, the Elections Commission will accord us the courtesy. We're making this pronouncement right now so that the world is watching, the world is listening. International representation we're coming in full swing, and we're just there to do our job.
We got your back. I got your back. We will have the microphone ready to blast if anything happens.
He said, man, another man from the issue room.
My man, you know, one thing, we say the truth there. The fact that
Is that you, Volcano? Shut up, my man. Step aside. Step aside.
I mean, step aside. Alphonso, 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 I can go take pity for the Liberian people. And then they said the one push.
Why must it happen? Why must it happen like that?
Yeah.
No, you know, I'm laughing because that's just how we do
But
things back home.
the people say the one push.
Yeah.
Go take pity for
And the
them.
drug say they won't coach. Why made you think that they will not see somebody who is cutting a spade a spade?
But the man says
You
step
know?
aside. I said, oh, man, just open the way. Let me step aside. I won't take pity for nobody. I'm begging you. Yeah, I'm
When
begging you.
divide, oh, you mean when they dividing the money and the man go there? They say that man.
No, the man
No,
gets to the airport. The man gets to the airport. The man
Oh,
calling
the
in Volcano
airport?
shelter. Yeah, soon they look at the passport. Oh, yeah, that you?
Oh,
Yeah,
that
okay. Yeah, man from the issue room, man. Hey, man, step aside. Oh, Mr. Shelton,
Yeah.
yeah, step aside, step
Yeah,
aside. Oh, that Joe Macy? Yeah, that man from ALJA, man.
But you
No,
know
Joe,
what?
step aside.
Let me tell the truth now, small. Let's tell the truth. Before we go, 1 minute quick.
Yeah.
President Weah has done well with press freedom to an extent. Let me give him credit. Let me give him credit to an extent.
Yeah.
Some of his zealots are the people who doing things outside of it. But the problem with him is that he doesn't condemn it to the fullest and persecute. That's the problem with President Weah. I don't think he's supposed.
So Volcano,
Do
then why
not
you
even
say he has done well
modify.
then?
Don't say he doesn't
No, no,
condemn it to the fullest. Say he doesn't condemn it.
or
I say, yeah, he doesn't condemn anything.
okay.
Yeah.
But I
Go
will
ahead.
say this too. I will say this too for Kano that
But I
the
think that's
freedom.
how despotic leaders work. Joe himself didn't go in the street to be any journalist. Starbuck didn't go in the
Yeah.
street to be any journalist. There are
But he
people
said him
do it, they sanction it, so
go.
it's
Yeah.
nothing.
He
So
said him
man,
That's
shut
how it
down, step
happens.
aside, man.
y'all go get out man smoke
Yeah,
with
Yeah.
they are aware of it, so they know. They say you'll be that man. You come by, he ain't say nothing, or you come by, you say, "Yeah, man, I'm be that man."
Definitely beating you.
That's how it happens, Volcano. So he's
Yeah.
now without blame.
Yeah, but
I
go ahead,
believe
Joe.
if anybody, I believe a lot of things are happening. He's aware of them. That's why he doesn't say anything.
Yeah, but I think it's
Some Abu
also
is really campaigning. We say, "Man, go to your hut
Yeah, my
tomorrow."
man who got to announce the thing. Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah. I think it's also fair to say that the freedom. I don't think we can credit any leader for the freedom the country enjoys right now when it comes to press freedom.
him.
It was paid for by the blood and sweat of many people before them. But look,
Yeah.
it's anyone who tries to scaffold the press or makes it harder for people to express their view, I think they'll find themselves in more trouble than they want to be. Because I think the media is very resilient and they really earned the freedom they currently enjoy. So yeah, I don't think President Weah has a choice but to respect the views. Every leader wants to stop with the press. Where they have the opportunity, they have a choice. They will want to silence the media because, of course, the media does and say things that's not favorable to them. But they don't have a choice because this freedom that we currently enjoy has been paid for, by blood, by sweat, and by sacrifice.
That's true.
Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you so much, man. We gotta go. It was great conversation. I'll let you guys go so I can
And
recognize
so they choose to buy the media, especially Mr. Weir,
Thank you.
to
Thank
buy
you.
the media instead. Yeah. So
Thank
he
you.
buys them, buy the female people. He put 10,000 in the budget for their
Thank you.
campaign, etc., to buy the media.
All right, Joe. We wish you
But
guys
yes,
well
Cyrus, we
for,
cannot go
for the
ahead.
Yeah.
convention.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I want to say to all of the ALJA
Oh
members,
yeah, Delaware Valley chapter.
please,
Yeah.
please be in Minnesota next week. But tomorrow, according to the president, of the ALJA Delval chapter, there will be election. The potato too hot. The man won't just get a potato to somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So elections tomorrow. I believe 5 p.m. is the elections here in the tri-state area for
Yeah,
our chapter, and whoever emerges will be contesting, I believe, the national presidency. Because we
yeah.
want white ballot again. We want competition.
And
So,
my man, everything will be there. Oh, free food,
oh,
free drinks.
oh,
So
talking
you
about
gotta
tomorrow?
show up. What are you talking about? The man hosting us?
Oh, my man.
And to entice
The mess,
to
everything will
entice
be
you,
there,
I
my
would say
man.
you will have
Yeah.
everything.
The mess, everything will be there. Free food, everything. So you think a small preparation I'm at doing?
Okay. So, so tomorrow, Saturday, 5 p.m.,
I ain't
Mr.
say
Samuel Abu's house. And next week, Thursday through Sunday, Minnesota. And Minnesota have already done well with these convention. So the next one, hopefully the convention will elect the East Coast. We'll come back here and do our thing.
Yeah.
We'll miss you as our MC.
I know. Listen. Don't let me buy ticket to now.
Go MC the convention, and
Yeah,
fly right back.
Well, Jeremy, thanks so much, man. It was a
yeah,
pleasure being
Man,
on.
thank you.
Thanks again, like I said, for always providing us a
Sure.
platform to
Yeah, sure.
talk
Yeah.
about our work and to promote ALJA. We're grateful. The issues room is not beholden to ALJA in any way, even though you all are members of ALJA. But the fact that afford us the opportunity to be here and talk about these issues on a consistent basis, I'm very, very grateful. Thank you all so very much.
thank
Okay.
you, everyone.
And my man will send an invoice.
Good night. Good night, everyone. Good night. Uh,
All
Diamond.
right, Joe. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Diamond.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Hey, guys.
Yeah. Sure. Thank
keep
you, man. Say
us.
hi to the family.
Thank you. Moses, I'm moving you. You still talking. Trying to recognize my folks here. Samuel Abu, Raymond Clark, better late than never. Thanks for joining us here. Quickly, Diamond Jacobs. It was good seeing you tonight. Chichie Jiblason. Good to see you, my brother. Uh, very insightful thoughts here tonight on the show. Adiaha Umo, Thomas Awaji, of course, Rivers S Pro. It was good seeing you. Would like to welcome Cyrus Joel McGee for the first time here in the issues room. We'll bring you in, my brother. You're right. These are the moments we need to be discussing Liberia. Flomo Livingstone, of course, thank you. Thank you, Henry Winnie. Thank you, Tony and Brooks. Thanks for joining us. Forja Monyu, Mohammed Kroman, Mazola Gizi. Thank you, Emmanuel Jackson, Manan Sumo, Edith McIntosh, all of you who showed up here tonight. We congratulate you for being here with us. We hope to be back here on Tuesday next week with another presentation. Until then, it will be our 184th broadcast. Tonight was the 183rd. For Keno Shelton, on behalf of Alphonso Yenu and Moses Sandy, we say good night. Have a great one.